people? Welcome back to our podcast. Thanks a lot for listening to the first one, for those who did. It's quite good to see how many people, how many of you have actually downloaded it and listened to it after 24 hours only. I think we had something like 75
downloads in 24 hours with no hardcore advertising or anything like that. So, I mean, we got a lot of really good friends. So thanks everybody for downloading the first one.
I was quite surprised that so many of our friends were interested in what we had to say, considering the amount of shit you talk to them on a daily basis.
Yeah, I talk shit to everybody, but still, they're not used to you doing it.
I thought they would be fed up with listening to you and stuff and be like, oh no, I can't take it.
No, you're fed up of listening to me because you're with me all the time. They just see me like for an hour or two at the gym. They don't know that I talk that much. Mm-hmm. Actually, you're coming across as the one who talks more than me.
What? In the podcast?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I think so. So yeah, just a couple of things to let you know. Firstly, don't email the Gmail that I gave you first. I forgot the password and I can't unlock it, so it doesn't work anymore. So our new email address, and the one that we're going to be using moving forward, is inbedwithah@gmail.com. That's inbedwithah@gmail.com. All attached, all one word. Okay. And then, those of you that know us, you can contact us through Facebook and Twitter. My Twitter is @famousramos89. @famousramos89. Ramos is Ramos. And also, if you go onto the download link, the RSS feed that we use, there's a comment section. So if you want to ask questions or make suggestions or whatever, just send us something and we'll get around to it that way. But other than that, the subject of the day is a bit of a mix. It seems like something along the lines of
challenging yourself. Yeah.
That was your idea.
I think I wanted to talk about that mostly because of my trip in Paris this weekend.
Yeah, you just got back. Left me all by myself for the weekend.
Yeah, I came back from Paris and I had a lot of discussions with my friends, but one of them was about challenging yourself. And that was typically for one of my friends that is really scared of... I almost want to say she's scared of life. She's scared of taking the French equivalent of a tube, like the French metro.
Yeah, but I can't blame her for that. Nobody likes taking the French metro.
Yeah.
I hate taking the French. I hate taking the French metro.
Yeah, but come on, for it to become a burden in your life and for it to stop you from going out and meeting
the way
your
that
friends.
The way that you described it, sounds like it's paralyzing her. Like she flat out refused to come see us when we were in Paris because she just couldn't bear getting on the tube.
Bear in mind that I haven't seen her for a year before that, and that was the only time where everyone could make it, and she was supposed to she had free time. She was supposed to come. And eventually she didn't because the person that was supposed to drive her couldn't drive her anymore and she had to take the tube.
Right. Do you think something terrible happened to her that no one knows about or something like that?
So she's we know what happened to her is more that, and her point of view is that it never happened to anyone else, at least that she's known or that she's talked to. But I think she's got bad experiences around guys wanking themselves in front of her or, this kind of thing, which actually happens a lot in Paris.
Apparently it happens to everybody in Paris. It's not happened to me yet.
Well, every girl.
Every girl.
Between a certain age, but yeah, it did happen to me. It happened to most of my friends that live in Paris or that have taken the tube in Paris.
And you just kind of took it on the chin. Not literally on your chin, but you kind of it didn't bother you.
Well, it's just a bit traumatizing the first time it happens. But
how many times has it happened?
To me, twice. But to my
that's 2 times too many.
Yeah, but
the first time someone jerks off in front of you, it's it's tough. But then by the second time, you don't care anymore.
No, it's not that. I think the second time was a bit more discreet. He did behind a newspaper. So I was like, oh, okay, it doesn't really count. It counts 1.5. Anyway, that is very common in Paris.
I wonder why it's so common in Paris. Oh shit! I read a whole friggin' article on Vice, maybe before we met, about train masturbators. Like and
in general,
in general in France. In Paris
so
in particular.
General in France.
Well, in general in France. It was a French article from French Vice that had been translated to English.
Okay.
But the guy doing the article, he did an interview with a train masturbator, because there are train masturbator forums that you can log onto online, and they all talk about their train masturbating habits. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
We need to check this out.
Yeah, well, if you want to invest more time in that, we can do it.
Yeah, for sure.
But the guy was saying stuff like that it excited him, and he felt like he had a connection with the women that he was doing it with.
For sure. For sure they're fucked up like that in their heads.
It's so unforgiving.
But yeah,
so this
actually,
is why
I do have a theory around
Let's hear your theory.
why it happens. Listen, if you come to the UK, like for someone that is from Paris or from France that comes to the UK, like the first comment is, shit, these girls in the UK, they're not cold. Like no matter where, no matter when in the year, like it might be -5 outside. And like girls, no matter what shapes as well, they could be fat, they could be like skinny, they could be anything. They go out like skinny skirts, skinny shorts and stuff.
True.
No fucks given. They
you
would
know what?
go
London
out.
is like the least extreme version of that. If you go out on a night out in Birmingham or a night out in Liverpool, it's even more intense.
See, my theory is the more you show, the least perversion, or the least like there's less mystère, like how do you call it?
Mystère.
Shut up. It's less mysterious.
Mystère. Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
It's less mysterious, so basically people are fantasizing less about things because they see it every day already. Well, in France, everyone's hiding everything, so the little something that you see, people are just like drooling and stuff. Like guys are do you know what I mean? Like, so in the UK, they're used to seeing like skin every time.
So do you think maybe in countries where people are more covered up, then it could be even more of a problem?
The thing is, if you look at Middle East and all these like countries where they're wearing burqas and all that, like even showing your ankle is seen as
salacious.
Yeah, or
I like that word. I haven't had a chance to use it for ages.
No, but you know, even that is seen as a very sensual.
It used to be like that here in the UK.
Yes, because women used to be hidden.
But you know what else? They used to cover up table legs with little skirts around the ankle of the table leg, because the ankle was seen as really sexy, even on a fucking table.
What? The table ankle?
Yeah. Like, you know how a table has legs?
Yeah.
Okay, but they used to carve them very beautifully in Victorian times. So in like stately homes, when you had these beautiful carved table legs, they would have little flowery things around the ankles to cover them.
No, that sounds
people
like
used
bullshit.
to be crazy. It's not bullshit, I'm telling you. You can Wikipedia, Google this, whatever you want.
Yeah. All right, anyway, let's get back on track. That's my theory around the... What do you think?
I think that there's probably something to that. Yeah, you're probably right. But, like, Japan isn't... Oh, man, actually, Japan has, like, some of the most perverted pornography of all time. I was thinking, like, geishas. Because geishas, they're, like, super covered up, right? And the only
that's the thing.
The only
you show them the skin of the neck.
The
and
back
they're
of
like,
the neck.
Yeah, and they're like, ooba, ooba.
Yeah. Apparently, one of our friends at the gym was telling me about a time he went to Japan, and they have a building which is like a porn shop, and it has all the most extreme Japanese porn, and it's got 14 floors, and they had a game with his friends, and they were like, we'll just see how far we can get up, you know, and it's going to get more and more fucked up, because the top floor is the most fucked up, and the bottom floor is like the most tame.
Mild, yeah.
And he said they got to about floor 3 before they tapped out.
No.
Yeah, it was like amputee porn, like chopping people's arms off with samurai swords and like fucking them, and like, but it's all like anime, it's all drawn like cartoons and shit.
No.
Yeah, tapped out at like floor 3 or 4.
Shit, and there were still 10 to go.
Yeah. I feel like in my head, but I know this person, he's like you know him too, he's got a really cute dog. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and he seems like the kind of guy that could do it, you know?
What do you mean? Does he look like a perv? Is that what
No,
you were
he just
trying
seems
to
like kind of
say?
guy that wouldn't be bothered by stuff like that.
Sorry, mate. If you recognize yourself, Aaron just called you a perv.
No, it's not what I mean. But then I think to myself, like, oh, if I was to go in there, I'll get all the way up to floor 14, no fucking problem. But then
I don't think so.
if he tapped, I might.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I'd get to floor 4 or floor 5. I'd go higher just because that was the precedent.
Yeah.
Challenge myself as the theme of this podcast.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Actually, coming back to that, my whole conversation with my friend that is scared of taking the public transport in Paris, is that she can't stop living just because of this fear, and that she has to challenge herself. And the first thing that was really good is she admitted herself that she is like not doing what she would like to do.
Oh, yeah?
Because of her fears.
Some people trick themselves into thinking that they don't want to do stuff. But they do want to do stuff, but then they just don't do it because they're scared.
Yeah, but the thing is, when we started the conversation, she started telling me how she's really comfortable in her house, and that's where she's happy, and she can do anything in her house. And
it's like her shield that she was putting up.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's a shield, but at the end of the day, I'm sure, that's she's very honest about that she's really happy she can do anything she wants. But equally, as I started digging, now she started telling me that, well, she knows that in the past she stopped herself from, like, she kind of like ruined her life in a certain way from
you don't
this
dig.
fear.
You don't dig in English.
How'd you say?
Like, no, you dig. It's the same thing. But what I'm saying is, like, hearing that you had a conversation with someone and that you dig, that you dug deep into them. It's like, in French, you must be like this different person.
Yeah, we had that conversation. Let's get back to that anyway. Like, we start drifting and we'll... Oh.
That's what I do. I drift.
But yeah, so she started admitting that actually she's quite pissed off about this fear. And that she would like to change.
She's angry about it.
Well, not yet. And I think that's where I was trying to get her to. Because
you took it upon yourself to save her.
Well, what? That's my friend. That's what you do for your friends, isn't it?
It's true. You tried to do that for me.
Yeah, I tried to save you as well.
You tried to save me.
From your compulsive lying.
Yeah.
Anyway, so stop doing that.
Right,
I have a difficulty focusing on anything. Now you're trying to put traps in for me.
I'm not trapping you. I'm not trapping you.
Well, I can't keep on my chain of thought.
All right, go
on. See, now I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
She's angry about it.
Well, she's not. So you're
but
not
she's
listening
almost
to what
angry
I'm
about
saying.
it.
Anyway, she's admitted that she's like, this is something that is bothering her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing. First, that she's admitting that, isn't it? But then she like, her point and what she said to me was, yeah, but I'm not like you. I'm not courageous, and I'm not scared of anything. That's what she said to me. And that's when I started thinking, well, I'm not that person that you've built up in your mind. Just because I fight, and just because...
You're more courageous than the average, human being.
No, but the thing as well that she sees is she's seen me when I was a teenager. Like, I've known her since I was 12, something like that. And when we kind of lost each other, because, of history and stuff, I was maybe 20 when we lost track of each other.
Yeah.
And we found each other back probably
You're a different
when
person.
I was 25. So I was between 20 and 25. That's where I started shaping my personality.
Yeah.
And when I was 20, I was this very insecure person and really, self-unconfident. How would you say that?
You lacked confidence.
Yeah, I lacked confidence in myself, and I was jealous. I didn't like to go out. I didn't like partying. I was like a party pooper. Seriously, we would go out clubbing, and I would stay there and have this sour face all night.
Sit by the side.
Yeah, sit by the side, judge people. Oh, it was so fucking boring.
Yeah. I know the sour face. You haven't lost that.
Yeah, and the thing is, she's just remembered that, and now she sees me she sees that I've traveled, that I'm living in another country, and that I've discovered a new passion and I'm going out there and trying things out. And so for her, she thinks that, I've just gone from one to the other without any effort.
Right.
And that is not a challenge to myself. And so I was trying to explain to her, actually, I've had to build that. It didn't happen from one day to the other.
Yeah.
And sure, like
you're saying, like, you weren't born like that.
Exactly. And that was my point to her, that no matter what state she's at the moment, like, it is not something that is frozen in time that she cannot change. Like, everyone can always change how they are, And the first step is admitting what you've got to what you want to work on, right?
But isn't there, like, a catalyst for that? Like, she doesn't have to change, so she probably won't. Normally people change when they have to change, when they're faced with the opportunity to do so for a reason. So you rise to a challenge. She hasn't got any particular challenge. She's organized and engineered her whole life to not be a challenge. Whereas you stepped outside of your comfort zone. You left the country. You went to China and England and everything like that. And before you did that, you left Paris and you lived in different parts of the country and everything like that. But she didn't do any of that.
Yeah, but see...
You had to develop, and traveling gives you perspective.
Exactly. And the thing is, she is, like, she'd like to travel, and she likes all these things. So it's not like if... This is not something that is attractive to her.
Yeah.
That makes sense. This is something, like, the way she sees my life is she thinks, like, this is quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm telling her that actually it's not something she cannot do, That she can... she can do the same thing, and she can find her own challenges and find her own things to go out of her comfort zone and try to, like, achieve her own successes by setting herself her own goals. And they don't have to be massive goals. And the thing is, yes, you're right, there has to be a catalyst. And the problem is, all my other friends that are hanging out with her, they've seen her change in that very, like, scary little bubble, and they didn't really have the opportunity to tell her. Well, she started becoming that very scared person along the way.
You're right about the baby steps.
While I am, like, I've gone away and I've come back and I've seen the drastic change that she's gone through as well. And so it's easier for me to tell her this thing. So while I had that conversation with her, the other friends were around, but they kind of, like, eavesdropped because we were all at dinner and stuff. And she, at the end of the chat, she went to the toilet or something. And the other friends were like, man, we're so thankful that you had this discussion with her. Because...
Just this weekend?
Yeah.
Wow. Because
they never actually had that chat with her. Just because they accepted the way she is.
You were dropping these bombs on her bachelorette party.
Well, it's better...
You got a heck of a sense of timing.
Made her cry, innit?
Did she cry?
Yes.
Oh my god. Hashtag good friend.
That's what I'm here for.
To make people cry?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, but anyway, so she admitted that she really wants to change, And I kind of, like, told her that she doesn't have to drastically change. The important thing is for her to be able to do, like... So it all started from a sentence. She said, I know there are things I want to do, and my fears are stopping me from doing them. And I was like, that's really good. And the thing you need to start doing is just putting down, like, in writing, what are those things you want to do. Start with the positive. Right, start with saying what you want to do. It doesn't mean that you have to achieve them straight away, but at least putting them down in writing and thinking about those positive things is going to be a first step.
It's hard when you're that entrenched in a fear. It's really, really, really hard. Like, I don't know if you have ever had, like, a paralyzing fear of a particular thing, but you can't always just jump in the deep end with it, because your body, your mind, it will reject it, and you do need to overcome them. You're right, and you do need to write these things down, but you almost have to, like, the phrase that I've come to understand is inoculate yourself with them. Like, I have a real problem with heights. I've fucking hate heights.
Yeah.
Okay, I would rather be locked in the cage with Alistair over him for 5 rounds and my hands are tied behind my back than have to, go up, to the top of some high tower somewhere or roller coasters even and stuff. And I think it's like comes from a lack of trust, But I've slowly gotten better. There are still things which freak me out that I don't like. But like, for example, even just in our flat, when we first moved in, our flat was too high.
We're on the 4th floor.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But the thing is, like, I'm 6'3", yeah? So when you're walking past something that has a barrier and a drop, for you, you're 5 foot tall, okay?
Hey, 5'3".
The barrier comes up to your neck, you're encased. But for me, the barrier normally just comes up to my legs, So the idea of just toppling over and stuff like that, and I overthink stuff, yeah, sure. But, like, it's just too high, and I would, like, hug the wall and stuff like that.
Yeah, but how is, like, writing down, like, the positive a massive step? I don't think that's a big step, is it?
No, writing. I'm not saying that writing it down isn't the thing, but then eventually tackling. I'm talking about tackling.
Yeah,
the second step after you're writing it
exactly
is you're tackling.
And that's why I was telling her you need to start with baby steps.
Yeah, because otherwise you do end up like she is and just locked in your house, and it's not a fun life for
And that's
anybody.
what I told her, like that she doesn't have to do it, like to challenge herself by going from 0 to 100. That she's got to do baby steps, and just like the first thing is trying to go to Paris in a very like. Controlled way and say, okay, this is exactly where I'm gonna go, this is what time I'm gonna go, because I know there's a lot of people in the train and I risk less and stuff, and really plan it so that
like go during rush hour when it's packed and the likelihood of something like that is low.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or making sure that, okay, the day you plan to go for it, have someone go with you or something like that. But
or go in a group, like a big group of people.
Yeah.
Get all your friends and say, we're all gonna go to Paris and do something like that.
And the thing is, like, she even admitted to me that when she is in Paris, she's loving it. But it's the getting there, that is scaring her. And getting out of her comfort zone. So, you know what she explained to me? The reason why she didn't come last time is because she wasn't mentally prepared for it. Like, when they plan to go in the tube together and stuff, that's fine, like, and she's accompanied, like, that's fine, she can do it.
Yeah.
But because it was a last minute decision and she was put on the spot and she had to do it, she couldn't cope with that. I was like, that's fucked up.
Yeah. But sometimes when you're too prepared, you can psych yourself out. You psych yourself out, like, you build up to it too much, and then you're like, oh my god, I can't do it, it's too big.
You make it this big thing.
Yeah.
But,
it's usually...
knowing her, it's better for her to be really prepared and, like, not necessarily psyched up, but making sure that, nothing goes wrong in that sense. She was literally, like...
Is she very smart?
Yeah, she's smart.
Is she really smart, though? Is she, like, above average?
I would say she's smart.
She's smart. Like, this kind of fear and stuff is usually, like, a problem with smarter people.
You're saying that just because you have the same fears?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, shut
absolutely. Up. No, it's true. Like, the smarter you are, the more afraid you are. It's true.
Jokes.
I'm not saying I'm so smart I'm walking around paralyzed with fear all the time. I'm just saying, like, that it's a because you think about the consequences and you think about how bad it can go and you overthink things. Where if you're not as engaged with the world around you, you might not think that this could be a problem. Like, you all have had, like, everybody has had friends that they are reckless and they take crazy risks, and that friend is usually not the smartest friend in the group.
Well, the thing is, though, she might be really smart, but she's so scared of everything and so scared of failure that she hasn't tried again to go out of her comfort zone and to try and do new things. So that means that she hasn't succeeded a lot in life, in terms of her job, in terms of anything she's tried to achieve, because she hasn't tried that much.
And how did you resolve it with her?
In terms of?
Like, was that kind of the end of it? Like, you just addressed it and then kind of moved on?
Yeah, well, the end of it is that she said that she would try to do something, to try and, like, to do a baby step.
Inoculate.
Yeah, whatever. She tried to, she's gonna...
whatever, my words.
But, I'm not gonna remember them, okay?
They're on tape.
And so what? I'm not gonna listen to it. I don't like to hear my voice.
One day you might.
No. So yeah, and the thing is, I was trying to explain to her that actually challenging myself was part of my day-to-day, habits in everything I'm doing. Like this podcast, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I hate talking so much. And
Doesn't
having
sound
to,
like it.
well, and having to do
It's
it.
hard to get a word in edgeways when you're speaking.
And having to do it is like kind of very challenging.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that doing things like this along the more kind of creative lines, like making something, is something that you seem to think that you struggle with. And I actually kind of disagree with you. I think that you are a very creative person.
I'm not.
Yeah, you say that. You went to Paris and you had your drawings from when you were a kid of this perfume. But it was a pretty intense drawing.
Well, it was an assignment from school.
What was the assignment?
Different. To create an ad.
For what?
What do you mean for
what? What was the ad for?
It didn't say. And
so you just did a perfume ad?
Yeah, I decided to do a perfume.
I think that how old were you?
I was 13, maybe.
Most 13-year-old girls, maybe even most 13-year-old French girls, when designing a perfume, they're probably going to focus more on the glamorous beauty side of perfume. You were like the most intense 13-year-old ever, because the way this thing looked, it was the earth and a black background. I'll post a picture of it on Twitter so people can see this. A black because I photographed it with black background and a snake wrapping around the earth.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Beautiful is one word. It was very well drawn, yeah, but it was terrifying. And it said, "Dominate the world."
Of course, that was the best slogan.
That was like a poster from like Nazi Germany.
No.
Yeah.
No, and my perfume was called Excess as well.
Excess. Is there a real perfume called Excess now?
I don't know.
Black Excess. That's a perfume.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
They stole my idea.
They stole your idea. They found your thing.
My teacher, she must have sold my idea. That bitch.
It's the most intense perfume ad of all time ever created by a 13-year-old French girl.
Wow. Yeah, that's not really like creativity.
That's creative. It's creative.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think, like, I wasn't taught to be creative. I wasn't pushed to be creative.
By your family.
Yeah, like, that's not something that my parents really cared about, I would say, being creative. They cared about me having, like, A grades. That's not really, in French, it was having 20 on 20.
20 on 20. How do you say it in French?
20 sur 20.
Cool.
20 points, like, you scored on 20. And you know, if I would come home with 18, they would say, like, why did you not get 20?
Really?
Yeah, it was never good enough for them.
Well, if you got 20, did they were they just happy, or did they really praise you? Because man, I tell you what, like, I could go for a shit and my mum would come back and high five me. Like, it didn't matter what I did, I got praise.
No,
I can imagine your parents looking at your 20 and just kind of nodding.
Yeah.
Giving you dinner.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, it never happened, I think. So.
What?
Yeah.
You're just a straight 20.
No, it never happened. Like, I never had 20, I think.
Oh, you never had 20?
Probably not.
Really?
No, it's really hard in France to get 20. Are you crazy? Like, even the French culture is, like, set on showing you how
inept you are. You have to always try for better.
How much more you've got to try for.
Man, my family was all about creativity. Like, both my parents played guitar when I was growing up.
Your mum plays guitar?
Yeah, she does. And she's quite good. And my dad was always writing songs and playing guitar for us when we were babies and kids and stuff like that. And, like, they'd even play together, like, and stuff sometimes in the house, you know?
See, my theory around it is that the more, not wealthy, but the more your basic needs are fulfilled, the more you have the chance to think about creativity and nurture creativity.
I don't know. Because
I used to think that creativity was something that you either had or didn't have. But now looking at you and seeing how your mum pushed you guys to
But my
like
family
develop that
was
side of it.
poor growing up. We had no money.
Yeah, but it's different.
You know, my mum raised us all 2 kids and stuff like that, and all the house and stuff. She figured it all out with, obviously, like, she got government credits and stuff from us being kids, but she had a job. She had like some salary was like £9,000, and she managed to like feed us and clothe us and everything like that.
How did you make that?
I have no fucking clue. I always ask her, I'm like, are you a meth dealer on the side, or there's some shit that we don't know about you? But like, she's like, for real, she just was very, very clever with money. She's like, I'm dog shit with money by comparison to my mum. I can make a little bit go a long way. But she didn't grow up with... well, my mum grew up with more money than my dad. My dad grew up like moving from place to place to place. His dad was a construction worker. And my dad had like nothing. But I think because he had nothing, he had to have dreams. And because he had dreams, he used to love David Bowie. My dad was heartbroken when David Bowie died. But you know, he's like, my dad's almost 60 now, and he's still writing music, and he's still pushing the whole music thing. Yeah. And it's like, he worked in social services like for most of his life, most of his adult life. But my dad has never been rich, but he's always been creative. Yeah,
I'm not necessarily saying being rich, but not having to worry about your basic needs. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking about that because my parents arrived in France and they didn't have anything. Like, they were refugees, right? From the Cambodian War or Cambodian genocide.
It's so intense.
But they came to France and had to start everything and feed a family of, I think it was like family of 7 or something like that, including me.
That's insane.
So their basic like chain of thoughts was, let's feed the family.
You had so many people in your family that you had to question yourself as to how many there were just then. Like, how many, including me?
5,
7.
7. No, the thing is 5 of us.
That's an Asian family
5
thing.
children. No, actually it was 9 in total, because it was the 5 children with my parents, so 7. Yeah. And then they came with my dad's little brother and sister. And we all lived together under the same roof.
Are you still eating like the same meals that you used to eat when you were a kid? Is it kind of the same thing?
No, it kind of changed. Why?
I just was wondering, because the stuff that your family makes is like so perfect every time, like it's always the same.
I mean, I think it's
like if I was to order it from a restaurant. Like my mum was a chemist when it came to food. No, actually, that's a terrible analogy. Your parents are like chemists with food, and it's perfect. My mum was an artist, and she would just whack it all together, and it would come out good.
Yeah, no, it's like of course now the ingredients we buy is like they're
better quality.
They're better quality, and yeah, for sure it's kind of different. Plus now my parents are a bit more worried about their health and all this thing, and
cutting down on salt and all this.
Yeah, but so because they have to think so much about like feeding the family and stuff, they would never push us to, like, their first worry was to make sure that they would provide for us so that we could go to school and that we could have proper jobs, right? So they wouldn't, like, okay, they've kind of nurtured our creativity by pushing us to do music, like piano and all these things.
I still haven't heard you play piano.
Yes, you did.
No, I've seen you pressing the keypad.
No, I played in Marie Le Bon, yeah? That's piano, excuse me.
No, but you can play piano good.
How do you know?
And I like the way you pronounce Marie Le Bon. It's like she's some kind of French actress. Marie Le Bon.
Marie Le Bon.
Marle Bon.
Marle Bon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basic needs.
Yeah. So that's where their worry was, and because of that, they weren't like pushing us to be creative. I remember, like, for Mother's Day, doing this beautiful drawing for my mom, saying how I loved her and everything.
Was it of a snake wrapped around the earth?
No, it had tulips in there.
Tulips?
Yes.
Okay.
A little girl, a little house, a sun, all the kind of like shit. Yeah, gave it to her. She was like, yeah. She looked at it for 2 seconds. Next thing you know, the next day, where do I find my drawing? Under a cup of coffee, to make sure the coffee wouldn't stain the table. Yep. So that's for your creativity, right? And that's like that's the thing. It wasn't like seen as something important for us when we grew up. What was important is to make sure that we came home with good grades, make sure that we could find a good job.
That is important. I think that your family
was all about being
pragmatic. Yeah. My mum would ask me if I did my homework, but she wouldn't check that I did my homework. Like, when I got home, my first thing is I wanted to go and play on video games. But if I was not going to go and play on video games, my mum, before I could even open my mouth, would have laid out on a table pens, paint, paper, you name it, all art mediums and materials. She goes, yeah, just draw something, create, do it. I remember feeling exhausted trying to keep up with the fact that she always wanted me to do stuff, but I went and ended up studying art in sixth form and everything, and I kind of didn't even really want to. Do you know what I mean? I got a respect for it, and my mum is an amazing illustrator. You know, she has her own business and stuff, but I was almost like pushed. I felt like maybe I was pushed into it in some ways rather than nurtured into it. You know, but
well, that was the nurturing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She nurtured, like, the nurture versus nature is where I used to think that you either had it or you didn't.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you're quite creative because your mom pushed you to be creative.
Yeah, I think if I had a choice, I might not have been.
Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? Like, you can't tell now.
But I do. But do you know what though? But there are things like I really get a satisfaction out of doing, like making the music for the podcast. It's just silly. It's easy. It's just
creativity.
It's like putting puzzle pieces together. You know, at the moment, I'm not like really good at it, but I'm learning more about it and stuff like that. I like creating nice photographs. I like taking good pictures and then working on the picture and getting it fixed up and everything like that. But
and see, like, there are things that I like to do, but
what
I
kind
never
of stuff
thought.
do you like to do?
Like, it's like the nails thing, isn't it? Nail art.
Oh yeah. It's a recent love of yours.
Well, yeah, I kind of lost it recently as well because of competition and all that. But yeah, I like it. I find it beautiful. But again, like, I don't think I'm creative enough to do beautiful things. I've got to, like, learn the process, like, step by step and see how it's done rather than create.
There are artists. There are artists which are famous for doing things with a very methodical system for getting it perfect.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, there are artists that focus just on drawing freehand perfect squares and shapes without using rulers, without doing anything, and they have a system. One of my mum's exams that she had to do when she was in art college in LA, she had to draw a perfect circle freehand. And she used to be able to do it and repeat it. You know? So, like, perfection is a type of art as long as you're expressing yourself through it. Yes. And like, we both are, you know, fanatical about martial arts to a degree. And when you watch a fight, when someone does something incredible, like, for example, when Anderson Silva beat Forrest Griffin and he was, like, ducking and dodging and moving out of everything, and he threw that punch just in a perfect way, and it was a picture-perfect, textbook shot, you know, and it just put him right on his ass. And there's beauty in that to us, because we find beauty in martial arts and in combat, but there was a beauty in the perfection of how he executed that. But at the same time, Anderson Silva is one of the most creative fighters of all time. You know, Conor McGregor, he's a fighter who fights recently. He's a creative fighter, but when he knocked out Jose Aldo, it was with a picture-perfect left hook. You know, that was textbook. If you saw that in a textbook next to left hook, there would be a picture of Conor McGregor doing that move. Yeah. You know, and I heard an amazing phrase recently, and I need to find who the quote was from, but it said that combat is an absolute exercise in creativity. And I thought that spoke to me so much, because, like, in jiu-jitsu I'm still learning, like, as if I'm a baby, you know. I'm just a blue belt, you know, and I can have success and not on any given day, but, you know, I'm still learning, and I think outside the box sometimes. But striking I've done for 10 years, and I feel pretty comfortable striking with most people. You know, I'm not like some fucking prodigy, but I get striking. And because I know all the rules,
You
I can
start to play around.
break the rules. You know,
Yeah.
you're supposed to have your hands up. Because I know the distance between people, and I can feel it and see it without really thinking about it. And I've thrown 100,000 jabs in my life, so I know how to throw a jab. So when I throw my jab, it comes automatically. But you can be creative of how you set that jab up, and you can go into depth about it. Like I don't know, like I said, I don't know as much about it with jiu-jitsu, and you feel it when you're all with like a really good black belt. You feel them. You know, you thought that you were defending a lapel grip, and then suddenly you're defending a back take, and you don't know where it came from, and it's just like voodoo. You're just like, what the fuck just happened to me? I have no idea how they ended up there, you know? And it's kind of like that. When you roll with a really good judo person, and you're standing up, and they get you with a foot sweep, and you just end up looking up at the lights all of a sudden, you know?
Never happened to me.
You've never been dropped with a judo throw?
No.
There's video of you being put on the floor with judo throws.
No, it wasn't me.
It was definitely you.
No, I don't think so.
No, you can't use the whole Asian people look alike thing.
It was another Chinese girl.
No, it wasn't.
So, anyway, yeah, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
We're talking about creativity and perfection being kind of hand in hand. Okay. And I think that you and me almost represent those two sides of that coin in some ways.
I'm the perfection, obviously.
Yeah, you are. You are. No, you're a perfectionist. You do things very precisely, and I don't do things as precisely as you, but I do things more creatively. But they each work for us in different ways. Like your game in jiu-jitsu is so much like a perfect grind. Like if I spar with you, I can feel like you're climbing me, almost like a mountain, and you never take a step back unless you really fuck up or someone overpowers you or you make a mistake in some way. Like each move leads to the next move, and I feel like once you've made a grip, unless I'm being a dick and just trying to rip your arms off, that's your grip. You're not going anywhere, and you're going to proceed to the next step. And you know, it's like grip, pass, side control, mount, choke, or armbar or whatever. You've got this very rigid thing, but there's like watching you do it in competition against like person after person after person. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Whereas for me, I get into a position and I think, okay, I've got my favorite moves, but like, what other ways are there to go through this? You know, what other directions can I go? And I'm trying to do all these different kind of things, and I don't just have like a set basic thing. I've got moves that I like, but I'm a bit more trying to keep my mind open. But in competition, you have way more success. So maybe I should take a page out of your book. Simplify things. You know, but I have fun when I get random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've reached my limit of talking for today.
Do you reckon? No, I think this is the kind of thing that you're talking about, where you find difficult. I think you came into this today with this idea of comfort and creativity, and you're talking about coming out of your comfort zone. And now that you've talked about that one subject and we've moved on to something new, you kind of stepped out of it, and you said you find it difficult to talk about these things. Is it just that you sort of like run out of things to say, or do you just...
Yeah. I think it's also the fact that it's so all over the place. Like my train of thoughts is like kind of gone now.
You just lose your train of thought.
Yeah.
So you need a conversation to have structure.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we go back to the comfort zone thing just for a second? Because we went to Norway recently on holiday.
Yeah.
And we climbed about three different mountains on a few different days. I know you're laughing at Monica. It's Monica's joke.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, again, that's an example of going out of your comfort zone, isn't it? And for both of us, because both of us are scared of heights, but you to a bigger, like...
Yeah.
Bigger extent.
I'm high enough.
A bigger extent than me. But yeah, that's one of the things that I like to do, is to challenge myself with things that scare me. And going to Norway and going to these hikes were a bit of a mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, it's crazy because you can see it from the town, and one of the guys, we went to train there at Frontline Gym in Bergen, and there was a guy there who said, just because you can see the mountain from the town doesn't mean it's the town. Like, that's the wilderness. And we saw 2 other people in 8 hours.
Yeah.
That was insane. And there was real moments where you just felt very isolated.
Yeah, for sure. Probably after the 4th hours.
No, the first moment that I felt really isolated was when we got... Basically, the mountain is called Ulriken, and there's a trail, and you got like a red and a green and a blue. And it's kind of like when you go skiing, you have different difficulties, and the red one was a hard one. We started off on blue, and we got to a crossroads, and the blue one looked like, you just kind of carry off winding up the mountain. And it's a steepish trail, but the red one pretty much just started going up, and it was walking up a rocky creek. So there was water falling down the mountain. And in Bergen, a lot of their drinking water comes from the mountains. I think all of their drinking water comes from the mountains. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But we started to kind of get higher and higher and higher, and everything got steeper and steeper and steeper. And then we're in a forest, and you come out of the forest, and then it's kind of cliffs. And then to get to the very top, you have to go up these stairs. It reminded me of like something out of Lord of the Rings.
It's carved in rocks, isn't it?
Yeah, they were like stairs carved in the rock. Who knows how old that was or how long that had been there. And they'd put like little kind of ropes and little things there, but just barely holding on, And the wind was kicking up, just like blasting us into the side of the mountain. And that, when we got to the top of the creek and just out of the forest, and that last little bit, which is like, 100 meters, maybe? Like, that is where I felt alone, because I knew we were together and you were going on in front, but I knew that no one could help us if we fucked up, because I couldn't even look to the left, because on the right you kind of saw like, the cliff bit and some trees and things like that, but to the left it was just drop.
Emptiness. Death.
Yeah, death.
I wasn't scared at that time because there was another lady that looked in her 50s, and she was like hopping it up like a goat, climbing a mountain. So I was like... She
was definitely not in her 50s. She was white and in her 30s.
She looks 50, man. Like...
She did. She looked like she climbed mountains all the time, and the weather just beat her face up.
Well, anyway, she made it very, very easily up that...
there were a few Norwegians that were like that we saw.
But the thing is, so when we got up is when I started to freak out, because that same lady went down the same way she came up, and I was like, shit, if we've got to go down the same way, I'm probably gonna die here. And there was no one else around, so that's
you hated going down.
Yeah, I'm scared of seeing how deep is the fall.
So you could climb to the top of Everest as long as you didn't look behind you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But you couldn't climb down Everest.
Probably
you need a helicopter to come get you.
Probably not. It's the same concept about bouldering, isn't it? Like,
I've never been.
Bouldering is climbing walls, but without a rope. So when you come down, you have to come down exactly the same way you came up. I went bouldering with Mon and Jakob at one point, and I was like climbing up that wall, and it was fairly easy. I was like, yeah. I got to the 3 meters like high wall, and I was like, all right, now let's go down. And I just like was frozen. Like I couldn't come back down.
Like cats.
Yeah, well, cats, they can jump, can't they?
No, cats climb trees and get stuck, and you got to call the firemen to come get them.
Oh,
because they freak out from going down.
Yeah, that's why cats are stupid. Anyway, yeah, I don't like that.
You don't like
going down? Yeah, no, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, because whenever I'm going down, I'm like, whew. The lower I go, the better I feel. As I'm going down the mountain, I just start feeling better and better and better. Like when we were at the top of the mountain, and the second bit was called the Vidden, and I was eating that sandwich, looking out across something that looked like it was out of a storybook. I had so much anxiety just sitting there, and there was no danger of me falling where I was, but I was because I was already up, and it was like a very tasty sandwich, and I felt better for having eaten it, but I couldn't quite enjoy it because I was just so worried about where we were going next, and it got worse from that point on for a good long while with the wind.
Yeah, it was cold, but it was alright. It was a beautiful experience anyway.
It was amazing.
And again, that's what challenging yourself gets you to, is like, first you feel like you've succeeded in something, in pushing yourself to do something more, and it brings you new experiences. Like, challenging yourself always brings new experiences. And
I felt when we got down.
yeah. So much relief.
It was amazing.
And, you know, I think it's a part of happiness, isn't it? To feel that you've achieved something and you've done something that you never thought you'd be able to do. That's why you need to go out of your comfort zone.
I never thought in my life that I could, by choice, climb up so high and, you know, get through that entire ordeal.
Yeah, for sure.
It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, talk about things you never thought you'd do. Like, I never thought I'd be competing in a sport one day. And
You didn't go into it with that mindset, did you?
I hate it. I hate competing.
Even now?
Even now, yeah, for sure. Why do you think I have diarrhea every time I'm competing? It's just, but I'm still pushing myself to do it because I'm learning from it. Obviously, I know I'm learning from it. I'm getting experience of fighting girls my height, my size and stuff. But yeah, I think it's coming back to challenging yourself and getting out of your comfort zone and making yourself like
being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Well, there's nothing quite like jiu-jitsu to teach you that.
Yeah, but again, like, even in jiu-jitsu, like, doing jiu-jitsu in your own gym and with the same people and sparring with the same guys that you're used to sparring with, and you're getting into a comfort zone, and there's nothing like competing that takes you out of it. Like, puts you in the wall, and you're like, it's all like Russian roulette. You don't know who you're gonna fight, you don't know how the brackets are made, you don't know what cunty refs you're gonna have.
There are some cunty refs.
And so, you know, it's all a matter of chance or bad luck, you know. But also, how do you measure how do you control your nerves? How do you go through your diarrhea? How do you make sure that you're on weight? All these things.
It's a lot of things to think about. But I think the reason that we do it is for that feeling afterwards.
Yeah, that feeling. Oh, now I can eat.
I can eat everything inside.
Everything. No, it's like, again, that it's still a feeling of success, isn't it? Even like, no matter what your results are at the competition, even if you get fucked up after the 3rd second of the first fight, you're like,
the under 1 minute club.
Yeah, under 1 minute club. You're like, oh, I've done it. Now it's done. It's
Do you know
finished.
what? When you lose, it feels like relief. You feel sad. I don't know, me personally, if I lose, I don't feel bad at the moment of loss. I feel bad after I've got off the mat and I've sat down and had a chance to think about it. Then I start to feel bad, and I feel bad kind of as the day goes on, and then after a day I'm usually feeling okay. But the moment that it's finished, the moment that you tap, or the moment that the fight's over, there's a real sense of relief.
Oh yeah, I think that's everyone.
Yeah, but it's worth saying, you know, like, for those people that are like scared to compete, go and compete. For those people that are scared of traveling on public transport, go on public transport. Do it slowly, plan and things like that. Whatever it is that scares you, that's the thing that you should be doing. Because ultimately, just like your friend, just like me, just like you to a degree, and anybody, your fear will ultimately paralyze you. And that's not the kind of life that you want to live.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess some people just think, why would I put myself in this situation, isn't it?
I think that when I'm doing it. Yeah. Man, I've sat backstage waiting for fights, because like something I guess I've done that you haven't got experience in is when you go and fight someone who you know you're going to go fight in an MMA fight or in a Muay Thai fight. And you know that you're going to fight that guy for months. And that guy becomes your best friend in your mind, and he becomes your worst enemy in your mind. And you think about him every single day, and you picture him, and you picture what he's doing and wonder what he's doing, and you wonder if you should be doing more. And that, it just consumes your head. and you're sitting backstage waiting to finally go out and properly, like, you meet the guy at the weigh-in, but you don't really speak to him. You're going to go and meet the guy face to face.
Yeah. That's so weird.
It is the fucking strangest thing. And then when you finish fighting that guy, you're usually best friends. Like, I've got one of my closest friends at the gym now was my first MMA fight.
Yeah, but that's because...
That's a unique situation.
Yeah, you
but
ended up being in the same gym.
But I wouldn't be as close with him if it wasn't for that. There's guys that I train with at the gym that I'm not as close with. But I'm much closer with him because we've gone through something together.
Yeah, but that's because Paddy's a cuddly bear.
He's a cuddly bear. It's true. But also, you know, you put yourself through that. So we're saying, like, you know, you sit backstage. In the changing room, I'm thinking, I wonder if I left, would anyone notice? Maybe, what am I doing? I don't want to go out there and fight. I don't want to go do this. This is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
This is shit. And you're just thinking, like, why am I putting myself through this?
Yeah.
But then, you know, you get to the ring and that kind of all melts away, and then you jump in and you do it anyway and you feel fine afterwards. Like, you're not made of glass. You're not going to break, you know? I've never been hurt in a fight. I've only ever been hurt in training.
Of Connor and you know, the great fighters, I wonder if they have these thoughts as well.
Absolutely. And anyone who says that they don't have that is a liar.
I'm sure
anyone
some
that
don't.
Says,
I'm sure some
if they
are
don't
really
have
excited.
it, they're legit psycho.
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
My last MMA fight, I was so excited to go out there. And I felt really good, but I still had those feelings. I still had those feelings of nervousness and stuff like that. Once I get to the ring, I was super pumped up and stoked and happy because I felt like that was where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, I guess if there's an overall message about it, is like, whatever it is that you're scared of, like, you should do it.
Yeah.
Because it'll make you better.
It'll definitely make you more grown up. Like, you'll feel like you've become slightly different because you've overcome your fears.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small one.
I think, and for us, I think our main experience of that is through fighting. But I don't know if there's anything. I think there's a lot of things that you could do that would give you that sort of feeling, but I've never come across anything personally that does it, like training and fighting and competing. I
mean, I think it's a lot to do with physical activities, because that running is give you the same feeling where you're like.
Yeah, talking about runners high, they get like euphoric when they go running.
Yeah, and you challenge yourself as well. It's a fight against yourself.
Like your 10K dressed as Santa.
Yeah, like it's really a fight against yourself because your body is telling you to stop it, and you're like, no, let's keep going. And the whole time your body is saying, stop, you're hurting me.
It's true.
What are you doing, you motherfucker? Well, while you're fighting, someone else is hurting you, is trying to hurt you. Running or any kind of endurance sport is actually you hurting yourself on purpose. So
yeah, I never thought of it.
So I don't think it's necessarily fighting. I think it's any kind of physical activities where you're pushing yourself to get better, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like when you look at ballet dancers, like it's all beautiful and it's mesmerizing everything they can do, but you can't see how fucked up they are, like from training and all.
Their feet are fucked up. That, like, there's a lot of real famous pictures of ballet dancers' feet.
Yeah,
they are mutilated.
Exactly, and I guess that's the price to pay when you want to, to achieve something and overcome.
Jiu-jitsu fingers, that's another one.
Yeah, for sure.
Never wear rings again. Not that I ever wore rings, but just messes you up. Cauliflower ear, slightly twisted spine, shoulder never quite feels right. You still wear a knee brace even though your knee's okay, but just in case.
Having a stiff neck.
Stiff neck, yeah. Everything. Waking up feeling like an old man. That's one of the weirdest things about training to be an athlete of any kind, is that you're at really, really good level of fitness that maybe a lot of the population can't actually do. Like, if you take someone that you know, even someone fit that you know, and you bring them to jiu-jitsu, they get fucked up. They can't hack it, because it's a different kind of fitness.
Yeah.
But, like, so you're, as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, if you fight and you train regularly, you're super fit. But 99% of the time you feel like shit.
Yeah.
You always feel
tired,
fucked up and
battered.
tired and in pain and everything like that.
I guess it's the same with any sports, isn't it?
I don't know, is it?
I don't know, like my friends that are running marathons and are training for it, they always have something going on.
But it's like, it doesn't test your body in the same... I have a respect for all sports. I think whatever sport you do is awesome. I just think that, like, you're never going to do what you do to your neck in jiu-jitsu by just running. Running is going to be a very localized area that you're doing damage to.
Yeah, legs, hips, whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I guess, like, combat sports, I mean, is more inclined to give you full body injuries. And jiu-jitsu being, like, on the ground, being a grappling sport, like, obviously it's pushing you more towards joints and like neck pains and whatever, like spine and all that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing that you might feel that you're very fit from the training you've got in jiu-jitsu, but yet you go to yoga and all the skinny bitches can do all sorts of things that you can't do. So it's all about different type of muscles and different functionality that you put in use in your body.
Yoga I find so brutal, and I know it's good for you, but man, I need to... I was talking to a couple of our friends. They might be interested in being guests. You know who they are, but might get them on to talk about yoga and get that sort of perspective. Would be cool. We're going to start bringing people on and everything and developing this thing.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, anyway, that was like the main thing I wanted to talk about today.
Just pushing out of that comfort zone. Yeah,
getting out of the comfort zone, and obviously creativity was another big theme, which is like, from my perspective, it's going out of my comfort zone because I'm not used to doing it, being creative. But yeah, I think it's
maybe you can find some creativity and all that perfection that you're trying to seek.
Yeah, hopefully.
There's a great phrase about perfection, and I might be butchering it, but it's something to the effect of that perfection is impossible, but in the search for it, you can achieve excellence. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good place to close off, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
It's great to be back and do a second one. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you to everybody that helps to make this happen and inspires us to kind of keep it going. And we'll have more things to talk about, and I hope that you enjoy, the listeners enjoy this experience with us, and as it grows and becomes something different. And yeah, that's it.
Hasta la vista, babies.
Hasta la vista, babies. See ya.